Hey everyone, I'm Quinye. So the following video that you're about to watch, part of it got cut off. And I try to salvage it as much as I can. I try to putting it back in the editor, taking it out, put it back in, but nothing is working. And I thought about just discarding it altogether, but it's a really important video that y'all need to see, so I'm just gonna try to salvage it as much as I can, and I think I can salvage a good chunk of it. Only like the goodest, only a last snippet of it was cut off. Pretty much just me telling y'all subscribe and thanks for watching, you know the drill. So I'm just going to try to salvage the video as best as I can. I hope you guys still enjoy it. I'm sorry, but things happen, you know, technology is not 100% perfect. So without further ado, here is the following video. You do. You need to pay your people what they are worth. You don't need to underpay them. You don't need to skimp on them. You need to straight up pay them what they're worth because they are putting in the hours, the time, and they deserve for what they are working for. And then, not to mention, the higher ups do not realize, or they seem to have forgotten that not too long ago, just a very short few years ago, we had this thing going on called a pandemic. We were in a pandemic for. Hey everyone, I'm Quinye, and I wasn't gonna talk about this, but honestly, it has gotten so out of hand to where I just need to give my full, honest opinion of how I feel about this, because it's getting to be beyond ridiculous. It really, really is. And that is the Hollywood strike. So, in case you don't know, practically every aspect of Hollywood, from the actors to the writers to the behind the scene people, they currently don't have any jobs because they are going on strike. Everything has been shut down, production been shut down, everything been halted and pushed back, and it's just a huge mess. And higher ups, the people that distribute the movies, that owns the studios, that owns the rights to these movies, they don't want to pay the people. They don't want to pay the workers. They don't want to pay the actors. They don't want to pay the behind the scenes people. And because of that, the behind the scenes people, the actors, the writers, they going on strike because for one thing, they don't have equal pay. They don't get residuals whenever a show enters in reruns. They not getting their fair share of the residuals going into reruns. And on top of that, the writers are not getting their fair pay. They're not getting their fair share. They're not getting their fair pay. And it's just not right. And on top of all of that, the studio people are now trying to rely on AI technology to write scripts, which I find that to be a very, scary idea, but that's for a different video. I'm not going to get too much into that right now, but for right now, it is so ridiculous how these are the people that makes you to where you are. You wouldn't be in the position that you are in if not for your actors, your writers, and your behind the scenes people. You need to pay them what they are worth. You do. You need to pay your people what they are worth. You don't need to underpay them. You don't need to skimp on them. You need to straight up pay them what they're worth because they are putting in the hours, the time, and they deserve for what they are working for. And then, not to mention, the higher ups do not realize, or they seem to have forgotten that not too long ago, just a very short few years ago, we had this thing going on called a pandemic. We were in a pandemic for months on end. It halted production on everything. Everything had to be virtual or just straight up had to be paused, which pushed everything behind. Now, here we are. We finally somewhat got back on track, and now they're having to deal with the strike, which is going to push production back on shows and movies even more than they already have. And all because they don't want to pay the people what they are worth. And I, for the life of me, do not understand that. Your workers and your writers are putting in countless hours to give the best quality work that they can. You need to pay them what they're worth. Them higher ups are too busy about trying to be profitable in such a short amount of time, so they think just by churning out reality shows, it's going to cut down the cost and it's going to drive up revenue. But the thing is, with reality shows, they're really not good. Reality shows are not good. They're not good. They are the lowest of the lowest form of quality you could ever make. The people that work on there, they all just have so much unnecessary drama, and it's just crazy, it's chaotic, but that seemed to be the thing they want to sell you. They don't want to sell you the good, high quality work. They rather either sell you a reality show, a remake, a sequel, a spin-off. They don't want to invest in anything new. And then so they proceed to wonder why the numbers be so low on movies and TV shows. Is because, for one, you're not paying your workers, you're not paying your writers, you're not valuing them. And then furthermore, you putting out all these like weird, crazy reality shows to where we, the consumers, are like, hey, we do not like this. So we will cut it off eventually because it's gonna get to that point where people gonna be like, you know what, it's too much craziness going on. So we just gonna cut it off, and then they just gonna go to the next form of entertainment, which is practically YouTube, because YouTube has become a very viable source of entertainment for people, to where really they don't really need to look at TV, or in the best case scenario, they can just watch reruns of shows they already seen, because that's pretty much where we're heading at this point, because the higher up people are so worried about profits and staying rich and being so steady with their money that they can't even pay the workers. They can't pay the behind the scenes people. They can't pay the actors. They can't pay the writers. They don't want to pay nobody. And I hate to say this, but we all know how life is. You know, life is like, eventually your bills are not going to understand that you're on strike. Your people that you have to pay the bills to are not going to understand that you're on strike. Like, your stomach ain't not, it's not going to understand that you're on strike. Like, eventually the bills gonna outweigh everything else, and that may be a sad reality, but it's gonna be true, because you can only strike but for so long. I mean, I admire them for sticking to their guns, pushing through this, being like, look, we need to be paid what we are worth, or we are walking out. Like, I appreciate and admire that. But the sad reality is you can only do that but for so long before you finally have to realize, hey, I can't keep doing this. I have a family to feed. I got bills to pay. I got to maintain what I have, so I won't be the one out there on the streets. So, I mean, what are you going to do? I just honestly wish that the higher up people would actually pay their writers and pay their workers and the behind the scenes people and the actors, and get rid of the AI, because nobody needs a robot writing scripts. That is what people are for. A robot can only articulate so much. They can't articulate the complexity stories that humans can. Like, we can think of things that you wouldn't even believe that we can think of, that no robot can. And they kind of like, just it's just weird all the way around. But honestly, the higher up people that owns the studios and everything else, and the shows and the IPs, they need to pay their people what they are worth. You need to pay them what they're worth. You do. You can't skip on your people. You can't pay them below what they're worth. You need to pay them what they're worth, because they the ones that's doing the work. They the ones are making your product. They the ones are keeping you, your business, your company, your studio in business. And you need to treat them what they are worth. You do. You really, really do. But I honestly don't know how this time will go. I do faintly remember the last time they were on strike, which was, I guess, at this point, almost 20, I guess, I would say about almost 20 some years ago that last strike happened. But I don't know. It's like what I've been seeing online on YouTube. The landscape is different. We're no longer dealing with just over the air TV and cable. You're now dealing with the regular traditional over the air TV, and then cable, and then what really puts all this into the mix is all the different streaming sites. And they're not they're not like considering all of the streaming sites and that these shows and movies are going to. So they're really not paying the people, the actors, the writers, the behind the scenes people what they are worth. They really not. You have to consider all of that in the mix. Like, the media landscape is not the same as it was even 10 years ago, let alone 20 and 30 years ago. It has completely changed. Like, there are so many different avenues to get your content, and they just want to be paid. They just want credit where credit is due. They want pay what pay is due, and you have to pay your people. You do. Plain and simple. You can't skip on that. Because if you don't pay your people, they're going to walk, and then your company is going to fall, because then you're starting to realize, oh, so they did contribute a lot to my company, my studio, and so forth. So just just pay your workers. Try to come up with a deal with the writers and the actors and the behind the scenes people, so they can get their jobs back, and so they can go back to doing what they do best. So just please do right by your people. The executives of the movie studios, just do right by your people. Do right.